So we'll start with this cartoon from the New Yorker, Condé Nast. These are scientists that are inside the laboratory. So usually we can see scientists in the lab wearing white coats, performing and conducting experimentations. So at this point, they know that it's addictive because the mice responded to a certain stimulus, whether that would be food or anything else. So these are the typical um, picture of a scientist that we could see in nowadays. And even in the Philippines, it's being a scientist is one of the toughest job that anyone could have hardly imagined. That's why a lot of initiatives that are being done, especially in the education curriculum, planning, okay, designing modules that are sustained, okay, that will sustain the works of our scientists. So this is just a welcome note from Vox magazine. It's a website, a US based website, and they have posted it last January, and they told written there in their website that the citizen science tools and some of these works are booming this pandemic. So what are citizen science? And we'll discuss that one later. So my topic for this webinar would be to design the citizenship science and project-based learning plus one pedagogy modules in learning Philippine ecology and biodiversity. By the way, my name is Steven Capilitan from De La Salle University, Manila. I'm also working with the Global Youth Biodiversity Network, a member and also a founder of a website, okay, or in social media, the Citizen Plus Philippines. Also, I'm a scholar of the Department of Science and Technology, Science Education Institute. So we generally see this happening. So extinction, mass extinction. A lot of our um, valuable species that are being depicted eras ago were lost, okay, and nowadays we are experiencing another wave of these catastrophic events as we are experiencing this global health crisis. So they say that you only live once. Yeah, they generally live, these reptiles only lived once. Okay, boomer, you can see this everything, you can see this map, and all of the sudden this pandemic happened. It changed our modalities of learning. Excuse me. It changed how things work. It changes how we deliver the instructional materials to our students, and this was anticipated, okay, because this research was done 2018 during my master's. And what came up into my mind during that time is that to become inclusive, okay, when it comes to developing the instructional materials, inclusive in such a way that I wanted to depict the situations that are currently happening here in my country, which is the Philippines. So natural ecosystems disturbance is happening not just in my country but elsewhere in the globe, as we are facing different effects, okay? Pollution, disaster, and many more. So what we can do for these particular crisis is to get connected, okay? Using our tools in the classroom. And it was said that not all your superheroes have superpowers and wear capes. Some just go about their daily routine of conserving the web of life. Hannibal, I can remember his book. It's Citizen Science, and they're looking for heroes against extinction. One of the greatest book when he studied the intertidal pools in California, and that's the reason why she is pursuing this new field of science, because it's not yet developed, especially for the developing countries. Okay, but try to see also that we're hunting heroes against extinction. So how do we hunt heroes? We're looking for our generation Z, our millennials. These are heroes that are living and residing, staying at home, doing the best they can, going in a backyard, moving on a walk, and everything else. So this is the platform that I have developed last year. It's Citizen Plus Philippines, and what it does is it's to promote um, Citizen Plus or Citizen Science in the social media platform. So I started it with in Facebook, in Twitter, and on Instagram. So if you can check it out, just follow the this website or these platforms. You can check many information regarding safeguarding our species. So these are some of the highlights. Okay, you can see that there are some people here. These are photos from Flickr. Okay, they are properly cited, so we could avoid some pertaining issues regarding this one. So a lot of things that are moving, okay, aside from Zoom fatigue that we're facing now, that we're facing the computers for a longest time, and there would be less interaction, less eye contact, less of the emotions, less of these linkages that happens between the speaker and among the attendees of this conference is the technology gap. So how do we redefine biodiversity education? It's not limited only to field trips. It's not limited to um, simple exercises that are being done in the backyard. But again, the focus of these talk is to demonstrate ill-defined concepts of an ecology and biodiversity that is not really showcased inside the setup of in a science classroom or any classroom. So this citizenship science is an emerging field of science that is focusing more on volunteerism. Volunteerism in such a way that we need more machinery, we need more human power to or manpower to really deliver the aims of our scientists, especially working in the Philippines, the DOST. I've worked with Haribon Foundation, and we'll talk about it later, to continue their work. So what they does is that they need the citizenry um, tools and also their machineries to help them sustain the data that they are doing. So that's a current data that they are having that they're working with. They're constantly working with, and volunteerism. So they need the help of everyone else to perform this achievement. So you will see it here in that typically these are the scientists, like they're holding a gloves, they're manipulating the microscopes, they're inside the lab, they're nerd. Okay, even Fauci, are you familiar with Fauci? He was bashed by Trump. Fauci was a great advocate, a scientist, okay, that advocate for the development of the vaccines for COVID. And we can see it here now that we could be exploring the wildlife, exploring, holding binoculars, holding smartphones, cameras, and participating in such endeavor that our scientists are doing. In the US, we have SciStarter. These are websites that you could use inside your classroom, building tools for the future. You can find a project. It's not limited to biodiversity and ecology, phenology. You can just something to work with physics, something to work with animal and plants, something to work with astronomy, and many more. You can choose any project you want. Also with Zooniverse, this is also a famous science platform that encourage people-powered research. How these people are working, okay? They they will be sending you pictures, okay, in these website. Let's say, for example, these science scribbler. They will be showing you photo electron micrographs of a nucleus of a cell, and then you have to locate or track about these parts of the nucleus. Um, that's how you can coordinate and interact and contribute to the scientists that are working with that. So also you have the ability to create a project, okay, using these zooniverse. The same thing with all of these that are downloadable, okay, in your smartphones using Google Play if you're an Android user, or using App Store if you're an Mac OS iOS user. You had a lot. The Corona report. Also with COVID, um, if you are, I think it's Apple devices has a lot of that feature that it helps the people from that area to track COVID positive patients by simply fill out the form that is written on the smartphone. So these are the Citizen Plus platforms that are available online, including some of the projects here in the Philippines. This is a 2018 article by Dem Rodriguez and Walmers from um, the Northern Philippines. Okay, they have coordinated with these students, understanding their motivations and the learning outcomes of a Sitsai project and rice ecosystems in Ifugao. So they have tracked these plants and animals in their locality. We call that phenology. Okay, it's a branch of science that discovers the situation of the non-living and the living um, organisms interacting in their niche or in their habitat. Same thing with iNaturalist. It's also a SitSci platform. You can just go ahead and search iNaturalist.org. And this data that I got is from the City Nature Challenge 2020 in Davao City. So they did a bio blitz. What a bio blitz is, it's a fun, intensive, short study of a biodiversity in a specific location. So there, they have to look for certain animals, groups of plants, or fungi, or different microorganisms they could find. And it they gathered 915 species out of their 3,637 observations, and all of these are depicted on these pie chart. So if you could go to the website, you can search the Davao River BioBleeds 2020, and these are the recent observations that are done in that area. So if you could track the iNaturalist map of observations, you can generally get a data coming from their deep learning machineries. Okay, those are algorithms that resemble like the GPS, the tracking systems. Wherever you are, and once the GPS will track you, it will automatically detect the place and tag it in iNaturalist. And don't worry about the identification of these species. There are some scientists that are working in iNaturalist that are currently tracking all of those specimen or photo specimen that you got from that place. Same thing with these are the photos, okay, from Jo Marie Valdez last year of in Mount Apple in Davao region. So the kids are, okay, running a list of these animals, butterflies, beetles, insects. So you could check that there is a kind of interest that these kids are forming at a very young age. Another thing about the project done by Haribon Foundation was this birds in the city. So I did the study in an urban setup. Later I'll discuss. But however, this Haribon Foundation is situated in Quezon City. So if you know, Quezon City has a aside from the population, it has a large area. Okay, um, they have this natural and preserved eco parks, including this part in UP. Okay, in Ateneo. Um, these students coming from the Ateneo de Manila is holding their binoculars and having and bird watching. Okay, so these birds in the city, raising awareness and on urban birds and some of their shared green areas. Okay, like parks, reserved areas for nature. So this is happening in July because that's their season of when they are flocking the area. Same thing, Haribon Foundation had delivered, okay, some of these materials on their website. The birds in the city, if you can take a look at it, how many the frequency of those birds that are showing, okay, and how to track them is also included in the website. So this is just a few of the information. So Birds in the City by Haribon Foundation, go out and find them, okay. Um, if you haven't known their names, that's a good thing. You can look and need help, email the descriptions and the locations of these birds to this website. Choose a place, choose a date and time, count for 30 minutes, and upload. So that's how fast it is. But the problem with Harbon Foundation is that you could not see the interactions between the contributors of that activity, okay, because they will be sending it in via email, so no one is gonna look at the total picture of how many people are contributing this. Is it really is it true, or is it like just for promotional activity? So nobody will know, okay, regarding that emergence. So also the research that I did to design these materials is to let the confusion be eradicated regarding this cryptic species. So since I'm working with most likely with the birds and insects in the country, I attended some of the research done by David Lohman from in the National Museum of Natural History, talking about cryptic species. These are species of animals that are resembling like um, they're of the same species. Okay, this was written by Lohman and Bickford. Um, Cryptic species as window on biodiversity and conservation, especially here in the Philippines, because we have almost a lot of birds and insect species, which these two intermingling vertebrates and invertebrates are well known for cryptic species mimicking each other. So he said there in the paper that a lack of systematic studies which leaves many questions, okay, that are common in their habitats, latitudes, or taxonomic groups. Like that. They're of the same species, but when you take a look at their genotypes, they are of different. So that's the reason why eBird essentials are used in the modules. So it's a project-based learning module which is suited for bird enthusiasts, scientists, and amateur naturalists. So when you take a look at eBird, okay, you'll see in a science classroom, so the kids are gonna look for certain birds in their local backyard, document their observations, and then if they can share, they can just put an identified bird, or if they knew the bird species, if they have this manual that are provided by the Philippine Biodiversity Conservation Group, okay, like Philippine leaf bird, so they can name it and then they can submit it via cloud and to deliberate their findings. So this is what eBird looks like. So this is the map of the Philippines. Checking the status of your Philippine eagle, the Pithecogarpa jeffreyi, looking the frequency of the people, the citizenship science people that are contributing to this website. So you can check that out. And what I did in the classroom um, is that I let them draw the bird. Okay, so I have given them the manual coming from Haribon Foundation. That those are the KBA, the key biodiversity areas, and then they compared it with the eBird data coming from the internet. So, kasi the KBA data was written by Malyari in 2000, in the 2001. So those are outdated materials. These are the birds, okay, that are not seen in the backyard because the sampling area. I mean, the students were from Cubao, okay, an urban city in Quezon City. So in Cubao, they could not frequently see these birds. How are they able to see this one? Using the internet. Okay, they can hear the bird sounds. They could watch the bird shadows. And in the class, a part of the activity is to teach them how to do bird watching. So we did that one in the classroom too. Same thing with this Chinese egrets, the Mindanao brown dove, and your mountain shrikes. So why is there a need to localize instructional materials? There is a need because um, we're constantly using foreign-based materials, not just in biodiversity and ecology, but for almost all the science concepts. So since that is situated in the Quezon City, I made it sure that all of the materials that I created in that study would come from the Philippines. Okay, so I love the Philippines. Sino bang hindi na-amaze for these 7,107 islands. And it's really amazing to see the diversity of these animals coming from the Philippine eagle, going to tarsier, going to this taluktuk hornbill. These are just the front pages of the materials. So if we take a look at these KBAs by ecosystem coverage, there's a need for us teachers to venture more on uh, the problems that our Philippine endemic species are facing. Kasi ang laki-laki talaga. It's 6 times big as New York City, 3 times as big as Tokyo, Japan, 35 as big as in Bangkok, Thailand, and that's a lot of conservation sites that we have to work on. So I'm not limited lang with the Luzon area kasi the students are from Luzon. So I showcased them using these key conservation sites, not just from Luzon, but from the entire Philippines. So the Haribon Foundation identified some of the conservation sites in the country. So coming from, apat lang yung nilagay ko dito. It's Batanes Islands, Candaba Swamp, the Mount Pulag National Park, and the Manila Bay. Kasi that's the one nearest to them. But I let the other set of the students to work with KBAs in Visayas and in Mindanao. So what they did is that they had role playing, okay, looking for the current problems that the areas are facing, especially when I presented them in the modules. So they did role plays. So those are just the photos of the students. Okay, so at least they become familiarized with the names. Okay, stimulated with their scientific names. So this is me having a class 2018, and this is the ESEP grade 9 class of 2018. So this is their science teacher. And kasi the Magsaysay School in Cubao has this engineering and science program, especially for the junior high school. So what project-based learning pedagogy means, bakit may +1 siya? It's because we need to accelerate these achievement through these 21st century skills, and take note, to build the capacity of our nation's youth to compete in a global economy using authentic projects, using real projects. Those are real projects. Those are projects coming from Haribon Foundation. What I did is that I collated all of the information and send it back to Haribon Foundation. I don't know what they did about um, the the gathering, the information that I got from my students. But yeah, I'm helping them. Okay, so through this, um, this plus one pedagogy or andragogy is requiring the students to, facilitate computer mediated technology, investigate into research, learning activities, writing, presenting, reflecting, and the application of your 21st century skills. Project based, which means to say there is an existing project done by scientists, especially Filipino, and then we contribute um, to that endeavor. So this is the plus BBL plus one pedagogy by Acacia Warren 2016, and this is what I patterned all of my modules, coming from your depth ed standards, the big ideas, universal big ideas. These are the big umbrella ideas. Universal concept. This is particularly true for all concepts, statements, essential questions. These are guided in questions that focuses on inquiry, the objectives of the projects, and these are some of the parts. Okay, so it's interdisciplinary. It's involving accelerated achievement, and it involves your sit size skills. Okay, so these are sorry teacher design. So the teacher will design all of these, and these are designed by the learners. So how could they work together on these particular cycle? So a snippet of the table of contents of the modules that I created. So for plus one topic modules, these are the modules that are based from the DepEd K to 12 learning competencies and their performance standards. So we have ecosystems, your mesocosm, cosmopolitan species, measuring ecosystem diversity, estimating abundance, sampling communities, your food chain and the food web, and many more. What about these project-based learning modules? So in the project-based learning modules, what I did is that I created the modules which will foster and which will develop their innate sit size skills. The sit size skills are these following texts under the topic. So critical thinking and problem solving, initiative and entrepreneurialism, agility and adaptability, effective oral and written communication, accessing and analyzing information, and collaboration across networks. So yeah, I have only 8 for the PBL. So these are partnered with the plus one topic modules. So these are based on content, and more likely these PBL modules is based on the existing research that are being done by our Filipino scientists. So for plus one topic, I used for this presentation, I used cosmopolitan species, um, number 3 of the star shear. So the big ideas are so this is the module sample. Taxon, range, habitat, distribution, cosmopolitanism. Universal concept would be that all species located in almost every continent of the world is what we call as cosmopolitan species. So these are ranging in suitable habitats. Focused inquiry, um, the question, okay, how does the geographical isolation contribute to the emergence of your cosmopolitan species? So technically, this is all about speciation, okay? Speciation, how species have um, diverged from a subspecies. A background of it will be coming also from a study done from the researchers in UP Diliman. So as a module developer, I tried to read a lot of resources, and I tried to move more on the Philippine side. Okay, so these are the development of the modules. Cosmopolitan species coming from the Philippines tarsier, a subspecies. coming from the Mindanao, Leyte, and Bohol. So kasi we all know typically that Tarsier Siricta is only limited to Bohol Island kasi ayun yung tourist destination. But during this research done by the researchers from UP, they have found out that these are cosmopolitan species and we have anatomical variation among these tarsier groups. The Western, the Philippine tarsier, and the Eastern tarsier. So the question is, how does these contribute more to the cosmopolitan species? Another again is the activity that is a plus one topic module, learning hitting two birds with one story. So they will be predicting possible outcomes in experiments. So the target audience will be for grade 6 to 8, but easily adaptive to 9 to 10 time frame, supplies. So most likely these are the procedure is to assume, okay, that you're investigating two bird species in a forest. So yeah, it sparks their curiosity. So guide questions here. And lastly, the part of the module is the reflection and commitment. So how are they as a scientist or citizen scientist? How would you help conservationists to protect disruption to healthy ecosystems and local Filipino farmers and their efforts to produce food for the people? It's very important kasi nga, as an agricultural country, we need food per capita for the people. Kasi it's a chain. It has a domino effect once the habitats are disturbed. Look at this pigeon feeding in Makini Taguig. Um, and image number 5, farmers intensifying action rat pests from Darnga Vaisia. So alterations in all species um, in certain areas in the Philippines is a critical issue nowadays. So how are they becoming? How are gonna these students help your conservationists to protect these from happening again? And that's lecture presentation. Some of these Philippine Tarsier, Tropical Paradise. They're working with ecological regions, Tubataha Reef, Apo Coral Reef, Candaba Swamp, Kabayugan River, Luzon Rainforest, and the Coral Triangle. So yeah, I think that's it for the entirety of the presentation.
Right. Thank you for the presentation, Sir Stephen. So before we proceed with the next part of the webinar, I would like to welcome our participants. Today we are being participated by 60 dynamic individual. I don't know where you're coming from. Would you mind to please type in our public chat where you from? I believe that our speaker for this morning is delivering his presentation from Jensen Pa. So we have participants from Kidapawan, from Cebu, Valenzuela City, La Union. Okay, so it's a truly diverse participants for the discussion of Sir Stephen on Citizen Plus. So we have also from Bukidnon, wow, Negros Oriental, Cebu. So welcome to another webinar series of the ARAL. This is brought to you by the Lasallian Institute for Development and Educational Research. Also, we have also from North Cotabato, as far as North Cotabato, Dipolog. Wow, these are from the southern part of the country. So welcome, and I just hope that you have learned a lot from the presentation of Sir Stephen. At this point, I would like to encourage everyone to please key in your questions in our public chat. And I think the Q&A portion will be facilitated by yours truly and with the assistance of Doc Inday. So probably if you have queries about the presentation, please type that in the public chat. But I would like to begin my question to Sir Stephen while we're waiting for some of the queries of the participants. Sir Stephen, are you still there?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
sorry, Stephen. I am just wondering, were all your projects funded? Kasi kanina you were able to mention that you're like helping yung Haribon Foundation in Mindanao.
Mm-mm.
You have sent them some sort of data, and probably what you want to do is determine good practices, or probably inform them about awareness of participants or students, something like that, with respect to the data that you have gathered. Were all these funded?
By Haribon Foundation, sir? No.
Ah, hindi.
But from DOST, this is a DOST funded. But from Haribon Foundation, um, no. Kasi I volunteered myself. I asked their office that I'll be more happy to, offer my modules to them. I would just want to get the literature that's like the bird list from their office, just to have a basis how far they have gone with the bird research. Then I infused it to my modules. But yeah, if you're gonna plan to join Harbon Foundation, yeah, you can just donate and become a member.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification, Sir Stephen. So I encourage everyone to key in your questions for Sir
Doc
Stephen.
Dennis, can I have a follow-up question on
Yes,
that
ma'am.
that you
Go
had?
ahead po, Doc
Okay.
Inday.
Stephen, tanong ko
Hi,
lang,
Doc.
aside from the modules or the materials that you are sharing with the Haribon, are you also sharing data to them?
I just shared the modules, Doc. The modules alone, and the
Mm.
data that is I mean, some of my students were able to see birds on their backyard, not in the school. Those are with eBird's property na dun sa eBird na
Okay.
website. Mm.
So they are not asking any data from you, however, no.
Yeah, just the
That's
modules.
good.
You wanna check it?
Okay.
Po.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen.
Okay,
Sige
thank
po.
you,
Dennis,
Doc
take it away.
Inday. Yeah. So right now, kasi Sir Stephen, what we're doing is we use a learning management system as a repository of all the e-module, or probably instructional materials for a purpose of accessibility. We're able to put all this also in such um, device or LMS that probably can reach most of the students, or probably for a purpose of a widespread dissemination.
Yes, sir. It's included na dun sa, I have a Google Drive.
Mm-mm.
At that level pa lang, at that level, a Google Drive na yung lahat ng modules ko nandun. But there are some people that is constantly messaging me on Facebook. They're looking for the like, sir, can I use your modules? Because I'm teaching it here in Singapore, in Thailand. Like, they're using the materials for their classroom use. Yeah, I gave them the materials, but I told them that it's coming from the Philippines, so you can just modify it whenever, whichever you want.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah, I have an online repository for that, sir.
Yeah. So do all this included in some of your social media, probably link in your social media platform or account.
Yeah, I can probably link them once I got, I mean, copyright copyright I mean but copyright stamps, or like
Mm-mm.
something like to work with infringement properties like that.
Mm.
Yeah, I can share all of those.
Okay. I noticed that most of your species of interest are avian. Do you
Mm-mm.
intend to explore also other possible species, considering that we are classified as a meta biodiverse country?
Yeah, thank
Or
you,
probably
sir.
what's your plan in the future? You're working with your PhD, right? So would you
Mm-mm.
plan to expand also, for example, with data collection and profiling of some of these endemic species, in order to have a lot of species to be covered in your Citizen Plus activity?
uh, for as of now, I'm working on what I call systems thinking approach. So the interest now has like deviated coming from biodiversity at up to like human anatomy and physiology kasi some of my courses are I mean embedded on that discipline. So another recommendation then, sir, with my it's not so how can you promote the biodiversity of the Philippines if you're limited to birds alone? How about those people who don't like birds, who are afraid of birds? So the focus of eBirds is only for birds, but in the modules kasi, sir, yung +1 topic modules, hindi lang limited sa birds. I have also portrayed mammals, have invertebrates, like,
Right.
ayun. So, for the project-based learning, kasi ang nakuha ko lang na data is from Haribon Foundation. That's why I'm working with birds. But if I got a data coming from, like, say, DOST or DENR, then that's a time that we could
Explore.
divert our
Right.
interest.
Okay, that's very interesting to hear from you, Sir Stephen. So let me check our public chat. Probably at this point, you might be
Can I ask
interested.
again, Doc
Yes,
Dennis?
yes, ma'am. Go
Follow
ahead,
up
Doc
ko lang
Inday.
kay Stephen. Since
Yes.
this is a project funded by the USD, are you not encouraged to come up with a copyright of the modules per se
That,
that
that
you are doing?
that's what I'm planning, Doc. That's what I'm
Unahan mo
planning now.
na.
Yes, po.
Baka unahan ka nila. Di ba? Okay.
Opo.
Reminder lang. Sige. Thank
Oo
you.
nga.
Yes, thank you, Doc.
That's right. Yeah, actually, I saw the module personally. I think it was one of your, it's the focus
Siya
of your
kasi.
presentation during the,
He's the one doing it.
yes, ma'am. Oo.
Yes.
Noong nasa
Pero in
Ilocos
Lawag.
tayo. Oh, yeah,
Opo.
in Lawag, right? Oo. So, pero Sir Stephen, your focus is on the andragogy. Tama ba? Or the module doesn't
No.
necessarily for andragogy purposes? Kasi kanina you have shown picture of your respondents while you're working on it in Ramon Magsaysay, no?
Yes, po.
So
The
could
focus
you
was opo.
reconcile that idea? How is that why there's an andragogy thing in your earlier discussion and how it can reconcile to,
Or yeah.
yeah,
The
or
or
yun.
thing.
Okay.
Or
Slash or.
the
Okay.
kasi maybe I can use this one like for students like in learning biology. So like undergrad students, we could also use this one also.
Mm-mm. Right.
Questions from the participants? Any?
Questions? And please type in your questions
Please
here.
type in your
Thank you.
questions. Right now we have 60 participants. Okay,
Ayan.
so I think we have
There's
here
a
a question
Our mainstay,
from
si Sir Chonelo.
Sir Chanilo. Oo nga. Oo, medyo nag-hibernate ako, Doc Inday, sa charm kasi. So,
Ito
opo,
si Sir Chonelo talaga palagi yan dito.
right. So, let me read the comment of Sir Chanilo. Congratulations, sir, for the presentation. What I like in the module is that you contextualize and localize the lessons. So you integrated local articles in your discussion of science topics. I don't have a question with regards to the study on your advocacy work. However, he has what here? What pieces of advice probably can you give students and teachers who wish to start an environmental advocacy work? And on another note, the graduating senior high school students will be working on SIP the second semester amidst challenges of working scientific studies at home. I think he refers to the wet lab here, no? Since students are contained at home. So one of the alternatives is to have diversity studies instead. And what pieces of advice or viable biodiversity topics can you give to the teachers which may be facilitating SIP to the students?
Okay, that's a lot of questions. Okay.
Take it one by one, Stephen.
I'll take
One
it
at a
one by
time.
one. So, I'll go back with the first. What piece of advice can you give to regarding an advocacy work. So now, since we're limited with regards to our travel, restricted to our travel. As much as I wanted to go to the Tiboli tribes in Lake Cebu in South Cotabato to to see what they're working with. Kasi I have found out that some of their ancestral domains were like harnessed by the government, and a part of that would be like where the species like endemic species in that area is located. So as much as we wanted to go and venture to volunteer ourselves, a piece of advice would come to a perspective where um, I can see the problems in my area. Once you see the problems in your area, you're able to to include yourself in the part of the solution. Include yourself in the part of the solution, whereas you're not just doing this work just for your academic work, but you're using this work as a part of the citizenry that promotes conservation against extinction. So those are just piece of advice for teachers naman. For biology teachers, if you're interested naman with biodiversity and ecology, try to incorporate them in lessons in Philippine setup. Like search, read something about Philippines. If you're not a science teacher, if you're a business teacher, try to look at the origin of like textiles in the country, the fabrics of the country, like where they come from. They are coming from plants, right? So these plants are now endemic. So try to infuse something, a little bit of science to every work that you are doing, because um, it's very important nowadays. Next would be teachers that will facilitating their science IP for their students, but possible biodiversity topics would be um, green labs or green chemistry, something like working with sustain promoting sustainability in like pharmacological waste. Okay, parang something like that in green chemistry. Another thing would be mm, cryptic species for birds and for insects. What else? Citizen science. You can work with like humanities or subjects like in business, humanities, arts, history, or astronomy in the Philippines. So that's a very good benchmark na to start with, something like that. So those are just some of my advice.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Stephen. Siguro I would just want to add to the answer of Sir Stephen. Sir Chumilo, probably you can engage your students with some of the in silico analysis activity for SIP. There are a lot of software right now that is being developed in order to probably do some morphometric geometric analysis. We have a lot of databases right now, and I think you can make use of these data for the students to really work on such characteristic. Kasi kanina Sir Stephen mentioned about some anatomical structure. So basically variation among species can be depicted with the use of some software. You can also make use of the gene bank being provided to us by the National Institute of Health. And then with the application of some software, you can actually make use of um, comparison. Comparison is one of the basic processes that we normally employ in conducting SIP. And I think SIP is more about processes. So then by doing so, I think even without wet lab, students can still experience really doing SIP. So thank you for that advisor, Stephen. Let's move to the second one. I think Sir Eric John Diel would like um, to ask for further elaboration of Sir Stephen's
Activities.
activities. Would you like to expound on that, Sir Stephen?
The activities. Um, well, can I go back to what activity are you referring to? Like the learning activities.
I think, sir.
The project-based learning.
The
Mm. Activities
Okay.
in the project-based learning.
Okay, activities in the project-based learning. Um, what I did is that I searched for Tony Wagner's essential life skills. I have read his book. Then I got the 7 skills. What I did is that since these are in preparation of our students for the workplace, giving them the sense of moving on authentic projects or working on authentic projects. The PBL modules, the learning activities there are stimulating all of those 7. So, but some of them are overarching. Let's say when they tried to write executive summary outline. So they are like working on a proposal, like they're getting a disbursement sorry, a refund from an agency. Okay, so that's how they have their title, the abstract. Okay, what are the objectives and the hypothesis on their research. Tapos it's an ESO, executive summary outline, that stimulates their effective written and oral communication at the same time, their initiative and entrepreneurialism. So how do they did I mean allocate funds for these specific project, and then the collaboration constitution agreement. These are it's like a it's like a contract, okay, that they would like to share it with their classmates. Na sige, let's do this project in 3 months time. So all of us will be signing off this agreement, and we will not be I mean all of them will be committed to finish the project on time. Then afterwards they produce a set side video. I did not post it on YouTube kasi nga they're still minors. And I really like what they did is that they went to Quezon City Circle, and they shoot their film there. And then what they did is to showcase some of the pictures because they cannot see the birds. They just show the pictures, printed it out, and that's really amazing. Those are the some of the projects the activities that they did in the PBL projects.
Okay, so in relation to that, Sir
Mm-mm.
Stephen, um, every now and then we're able to get in touch with those individual who may have shared same passion via your social media account or Facebook or something like that. Kasi as I can see sometimes in Facebook there are comments or probably
Yeah.
there are feedback.
Some of them
Mm.
I have I have some I work with different photographers na, like someone I know her from Cebu. She contacted me, sir, I would like to help you on the Citizen Science Philippines na page. I have some photos here, you can share it with in your website. You can just write my name for the corporate purposes. So what I did is that I post the pictures, and then yeah, there is somehow connects forming linkages in on my end. And right now I would like to inform teachers as well to submit, contribute your part. If ever that you see that there is something to work with Sitsai apps, especially online, Zooniverse is open. It's free for you to start a project. Let's say yung iNaturalist ni Ma'am Ann Cabras from Davao City, last year lang niya na-initiate that project. So ang daming sumali dun sa BioBlitz activity niya. So BioBlitz activity, okay din yun if you want to, for the younger students. It's like a field trip, but the trend term now they use is BioBlitz. Kasi focus lang sila dun sa certain habitat na yun, and then they gather all of the species that are present in that area.
Okay. That's so nice to hear, Sir Stephen. So let me go back to the public chat. So I think there's a clarification here from Sir Judel Galapon. So we should
Mm-mm.
wait the DepEd memo for the students' immersion and research. All SIP should be or should have approved by the principal and the master teachers. Okay. Thank you, Sir Judel. Okay, so I encourage everyone. you might want to ask Sir Stephen. Just type your questions here in the public chat. So, Sir Stephen, while we're waiting for their questions, so how would you be able to foresee the sustainability thing of this project, considering that you have mentioned earlier you may have transitioned from this discipline to systemic biology. So probably the sudden transition may affect the advocacy of citizen science, where you have collaborated already with like group of people, or may you have formed partners so it can still be sustained. What's your plan
Yeah.
about that?
Mm-mm. My plan would be like, um, since systems thinking, okay, or systems philosophy, like you look at the discipline on wholes, not by parts. So in this study kasi, I'm trying to imagine, okay, the Philippines is one big picture. Then all of a sudden, yung mga small parts of it will collaborate in my project. But I could not focus dun sa each of the project kasi I'm just only one who's doing it. So there's a difficulty in having that, and it's moving from it's such a whirlwind of ideas when trying to move from the sit side to systems thinking. But as much as kasi I love conservation eh. I love the feeling of venturing into holding an organism of the animals, okay, seeing them in captivity or in act in the wild. So photography is also inspires me the most. So when I'm on the field, I try to bring the cameras with me, the binoculars with me. Seeing them is, and I love to watch different television shows depicting animal world and plant world. So it's very hard, sir, for me to understand how to interact systems thinking into citizen science. But what I like about citizen science is that you can collaborate not just from the Filipino scientists, but you can just work with foreign scientists abroad. Most of them are their facilities are well endowed, and ours is far from behind. Then we can learn something from them, and they can learn something from us. That's why the point of their missions and um, activities here in the Philippines is to track um, our our hidden gems which are in our biodiversity.
Mm, right. Since
Mm.
citizen science is voluntarism,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking if probably you may have organized a group of individual who may have shared the same passion to really do some sort of activity for a purpose of sustainability. But thank you, Sir
Yes.
Stephen.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I encourage everyone to ask Sir Stephen while we still have time. Probably at this point, you might want to ask him regarding the module, as how probably this can be um, shared or can be utilized for your own classroom. Please type your questions in the public chat.
Doc Dennis,
Yes, Doc Dai.
with the statement there given by yung comment ni Jodel,
Ah, yes po.
bakit meron bang ganon na you cannot do yet SIP without the approval of, di ba ano yun? Di ba yun integrated sa curriculum? Why
Okay.
do we need to wait for the DepEd memo? Hindi ko maintindihan eh.
Mm, I think, ma'am, this is applicable for the junior high school without or outside the umbrella of the STEM curriculum. Kasi for the junior high school, outside the umbrella of the STEM curriculum, sometimes students are encouraged to do SIP to
Mm.
showcase scientific literacy and for a purpose that students probably can compete for SIP competition at the division, to the region, and to the national level.
Ito ba yung
However,
ginagawa natin doon sa
opo,
Antipolo? Ito ba yun?
opo,
Okay.
opo.
So
Pero
it
ma'am,
has really have to have
mm, opo,
a permit?
yun
Something
po
like that?
yun po ata ang sinabi ni Sir Jodel. Pero ma'am, I think yung tinatanong earlier naman ni Sir Chonilo is he's looking for possible SIP activity. Probably that does not require, that does not require ano kasi this is in context of um, the pandemic setting, under the pandemic setting. So that's why we have um,
Tama,
opo.
yan. Kaya may memorandum dapat na hihintayin. Kasi
Mm-mm.
I was thinking, this would be limiting the students to do their investigatory project.
Yun nga, ma'am. Totoo. So it's really a pain in the ass, especially for those who are really working with their SIP. And as a teacher, in the midst of the pandemic, handling this, I don't know how you could elaborate basic process skills because SIP is more of that, no. Plus the fact that we can work with variables and probably do some experiments along with these variables. This is a very good topic to discuss. Probably in the next session of our charm.
Doc, I'd like to add, sir, I'd like
Okay,
to add,
go ahead, Sir Stephen.
with citizen science apps naman online, especially yung Zooniverse, you're like, once you are participating in that um, research, you are teaching computers, okay, to identify, let's say, I'm showing you electron micrograph of a placental cell, let's say for example. Then you have to look for mitochondria. You're teaching kasi ito-drawing ng bata yun doon sa let's say this one. I'm sharing my screen now. Ito-drawing ng bata yun. Here, this is a zooniverse activity. Help us understand mitochondrial dynamics in the placenta and train computers to analyze new data even faster in the future. So the students, okay, will they learn more. So why are they doing this? Tapos you will map them. Drawing mo yung red na line na yan. So this is your capillary that has fetal blood. Tapos ito yung parts na they're looking for. So once you have learned to, locate that part, once the next time that the computer received that image from that electron micrograph, the computer will know na ito pala yung part na, they will be that you will teach the algorithm to recognize. The right term is recognize these parts of the cell. So that's the advantage of using the SITSI tools, especially in learning medicine or biology.
That's right. And there are a lot of that. Something to explore, no? Madami po yan. So thank you very much, Sir Stephen. So I think we would like to ask Sir Stephen final message before we proceed with the next part of this webinar. Since no one is signifying any more questions, Sir Stephen, would you like to encourage everyone probably to join you in your advocacy in revolutionizing environmental literacy through citizen science?
Okay. Once again, I'm happy to share my current works regarding the protection and conservation of the Philippine biodiversity in such a way that as teachers, science teachers, we could do our job, not just to lecture the students about the current status, but let them help. Okay, it's better to involve yourself in such endeavor, not long that talking and simple lecture. Facing from this global health crisis, we know that it's wildlife. It's because of the wildlife trade and illegal trafficking of these animals that caused this global pandemic crisis. So as we move forward, let us try to search the problems that our locality is facing, whether that be environmental, whether that be political or economical problems that needs a citizen science tool app, or that will be astronomical if you want. So a piece of advice is continue working with your endeavors, and if ever that you would like to join my team in the Citizen Science Philippines, you can just add the following linkage in links in this. I will be sharing the Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook links so that you can communicate with each other.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sir Stephen. And before we go on further, I think Sir Chanilo has a clarification here. So meron na pong memo, canceled na po ang work immersion para sa academic track, including STEM. STEM students are required to work on SI.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So thank you, Sir Chanilo. Thank you, everyone, to those who participated in our Q&A part. At this point, may I request the uh, may I request Doc Inday, one of our amazing mentors in action research, to award the certificate to Sir Stephen. May we request the
Okay.
certificate to be presented on screen? Thank
Okay.
you.
So the De La Salle University, the Brother Andrew Gonzalez FSC College of Education, BAG said, La Sallian Institute for Development and Educational Research leader, and Action Research, Action Learning Oral present the certificate of appreciation to Mr. Stephen Capelitan for conducting the DLSU BAGSED Leader Oral Online Lecture Series entitled Designing Citizenship Science and Project-Based Learning +1 Pedagogy Modules in Teaching Philippine Ecology and Biodiversity, held on February 8, 2021, 10 to 12 noon via Zoom. Signed, Dr. Ramon C. Season, Dean BAGSED, Dr. Shirley Indita, Director Leader, and Dr. Maricares Prudente, Congress Chair, ARAL 2021. Congratulations, Stephen, and thank you very much.
Yay! Congratulations, Sir Stephen, and thank you very much also to Doc Inday for presenting the certificate. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for today, and I just hope that we have learned something new from the presentation of Sir Stephen.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Doc Inday. Thank you, Sir
Thank
Stephen. Thank you,
you.
Ma'am Liz.